Amabel's world turned upside down and inside out, suddenly and surprisingly, and there she was, in Coventry, and not even the housemaid would speak to her. Her great-uncle, whom she passed in the hall on her way to her own room, did indeed, as he smoothed his hat, murmur, "Sent to Coventry, eh? Never mind, it'll soon be over," and went off to the city, banging the front door behind him. He meant well, but he did not understand. Amabel understood, or thought she did, and knew in her miserable heart that she was sent to Coventry for the last time, and that this time she would stay there. "I don't care," she said, quite untruly. "I'll never try to be kind to anyone again." And that wasn't true either. She was to spend the whole day alone in the best bedroom, the one with the four-post bed and the red curtains, and the large wardrobe with a looking-glass in it that you could see yourself in to the very ends of your strap shoes. The first thing Amabel did was to look at herself in the glass. She was still sniffing and sobbing, and her eyes were swimming in tears. Another one rolled down her cheek as she looked, and that was very interesting. Another rolled down, and that was the last, because as soon as you get interested in watching your tears, they stop. Next she looked out the window, and saw the decorated flower-bed just as she had left it, very bright and beautiful. "Well, it does look nice," she said. "I don't care what they say." Then she looked round the room for something to read. There was nothing. The old-fashioned best bedrooms never did have anything. Only on the large dressing-table, on the left-hand side of the oval swing-glass, was one book, covered in red velvet, and on it, very twistily embroidered in yellow silk and mixed up with misleading leaves and squiggles, were the letters A, B, C. "Perhaps it's a picture alphabet," said Amabel, and was quite pleased, though, of course, she was much too old to care for alphabets. Only when one is very unhappy and very dull, anything is better than nothing. She opened the book. "Why, it's only a timetable," she said. "I suppose it's for people when they want to go away, and Auntie puts it here in case they suddenly make up their minds to go, and feel they can't wait another minute. I feel like that, only it's no good, and I expect other people do too." She had learned how to use a dictionary, and this seemed to go the same way. She looked up the names of all the places she knew, Brighton, where she had once spent a month, Rugby, where her brother was at school, and home, which was Amberley, and she saw the times when the trains left for these places, and wished she could go by those trains. And once more she looked round the best bedroom, which was her prison, and thought of the Bastille, and wished she had a toad to tame like the poor Viscount, and she was very sorry for herself, and very angry with her aunt, and very grieved at the conduct of her parents. She had expected better things from them, and now they had left her in this dreadful place where no one loved her, and no one understood her. There seemed to be no place for toads or flowers in the best room. It was carpeted all over, even in its least noticeable corners. It had everything a best room ought to have, and everything was of dark, shining mahogany. The toilet table had a set of red and gold glass things, a tray, candlesticks, a ring stand, many little pots with lids, and 2 bottles with stoppers. When the stoppers were taken out, they smelt very strange, something like very old scent, and something like cold cream, also very old, and something like going to the dentist's. I do not know whether the scent of those bottles had anything to do with what happened. It certainly was a very extraordinary scent, quite different from any perfume that I smell nowadays, but I remember that when I was a little girl I smelt it quite often. But then there are no best rooms now such as there used to be. The best rooms now are gay with chintz and mirrors, and there are always flowers and books and little tables to put your teacup on, and sofas and armchairs, and they smell of varnish and new furniture. When Amabel had sniffed at both bottles, and looked in all the pots, which were quite clean and empty except for a pearl button and 2 pins in one of them, she took up the ABC again to look for Whitby.